Hi, this is JJ Gat. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, I invite you to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you like the information that you get today. For those of you who are not new, welcome back. I am a veteran content creator. I use this space on YouTube to share knowledge, wealth of information, advice, experience of being in this space for over 2 decades. I manage several different blog properties and instruct and teach and sell templates for creatives and creators. And I'll put links to my various different blog properties and also my my Etsy shop for digital creators. Anyway, so today I decided, and I had said that I was going to focus my Pinterest channel my YouTube channel on Pinterest marketing and sharing with people who are interested in Pinterest, which is it's sometimes it's categorized as a social media platform, but it's more of a search engine. As you know, that Google is the #1 website in the world, and YouTube is the second, and both of those essentially is search. When people are looking for something, ideas, suggestions, tips, tutorials, inspiration, how to do something, for news, they Google search, or they go on YouTube and look for YouTube search. It's similar when people come to Pinterest, they're looking for something and they're pinning and categorizing DIY projects, a wedding that they're planning, outfits that they want to wear, get inspiration for ways they want to redecorate their house. So it is more aligned with the Google and the YouTubes of the world, more so than the Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and TikToks of the world. It's really just social sharing. And about 3 months ago, I discovered that my channel, my Pinterest page, had gotten 7.5 million reach in 1 quarter, which is a lot. I was not even, it did all that, and I wasn't even paying attention to the platform. And that's the thing about Pinterest. A lot of times when people who are new in this space, or who are growing their websites, or they're growing their blogs or their vlogs or YouTube or online presence, they will create a Pinterest channel, or they create a Pinterest account, and they wouldn't do anything with it, and they'll go on Pinterest and they'll see they have all these impressions. And that is because as you create, people discover your blog or your website or your space, whatever you have online, and if there's a visual picture or a chart or some graphic that's in your blog post or on your website that they want to pin or want to on their boards, they'll pin it, and then all of their followers will see it, and then all of their followers will see their followers. So it has a really quick viral effect, and so each time it comes through someone's stream, that counts as an impression. And so that's why you may not do anything with Pinterest after you create your account, and you'll go on Pinterest and see, like, wow, I got all of these views of this Pinterest. Is like a really active account, and you would think that would make people go to Pinterest and nurture it more and spend more time on it and learn and create, but they just don't, because they just don't understand it. And so that's what I'm here for, is to help you understand it and maybe get more comfortable. And I'm going to start with saying how I got the 7.5 million. Now there's 6 main reasons we'll go over. One of them is something happened in the past, so you can't really do anything about it because the past happened and it's gone. So the opportunity to replicate that is no longer in existence. The other 5 reasons why I got 7.5 million impressions in 1 quarter on Pinterest, which the impressions also equals people come back to my channel, they purchase any items that I'm selling, they'll click on links for ads, they'll click on affiliate links, and I'll get commission sales. So those impressions are not just vanity metrics, they actually convert into monetization, into more traffic, into brand awareness for me. So it's more than just that. But so there's 6 main reasons. The first reason is that I was a Pinterest adopter. So what that means, being an early adopter, if you probably heard that term before, it means that one of the first people to join on, sign up, and be active on a platform. It's usually related to an app or a platform or something that's created for the masses, but it's relatively new. And what happens is people aren't necessarily comfortable. So think about Snapchat, for example. A lot of older people, when they discovered Snapchat, you know, I was an early adopter. I went there. I didn't understand it. It wasn't necessarily intuitive like the other platforms, and I left. I created my account like 4 or 5 years ago or something like that when it just came on, but I didn't get it. But I was an early adopter, and what happens is because I was an early adopter to Pinterest, early adopters for new for new platforms, they reward early adopters by doing several things. One thing is when they're rolling out new beta features, they'll survey the early adopters and allow them and give them invitation to use these new tools. And because they're using them, Pinterest wants to show the other people on the platform, this is how it's being done. We have this new thing we're creating and we want to reward the people who are already using it. So we're going to amplify them. So they'll push your content to the front to everyone. All 60 million members of Pinterest will all get to see the content of the early adopters, or these people they identify are the active users. So because when I first got on there, one of my first images that blew up was a photo of Sofia Vergara. It was like when she was a model and had this, I don't know if I can find the image again. I'm gonna see, I'm gonna look for it. If I can, I'm gonna post it here. And she's looking behind, and I pinned it on I pinned it on like a workout board, like Body Goals or something. And people saw that and they loved it, and they repinned it, and it was driving me so much traffic. And that's when I first discovered Pinterest. It's still at the point where they were not even letting everyone on. They were doing this thing called like rolling out invitations to join. So I asked for an invitation after I realized I was getting all this traffic from Pinterest. And so that's how long ago I was on Pinterest. Before you can even just join on and create a site, you had to like get an invitation to they didn't want too many people on the platform at one time because it could crash it. So that photo of Sofia Vergara was my first alert that, okay, something's going on here. This is a platform I need to be on. And so because I was on there, a lot of things I pinned 10 years ago, they're still getting recycled. And that's the benefit of Pinterest, is that unlike other social media platforms, Twitter is the worst. It's like you put something on Twitter and the Twitter stream goes so fast and it's gone. In order for people to see it, if they're not there at the time, they're never going to see it unless you pin it. So now you can pin stuff to the top of your Twitter profile. For the most part, it's gone. It just goes fast. Same thing with Facebook. The stream goes fast. Instagram, if people miss it. Well, Instagram, now they're doing this thing where they recycle. They'll keep the people you engage with more. The algorithm will keep your content on top, so the folks with who you engage with most will actually may see your content even though you posted a while ago. So the algorithms change like that. However, for the most part, it's still they still don't last that long. Things that you post on these other social media platforms, whereas Pinterest, you can post something on Pinterest. There are things that I posted on Pinterest back in like 2011, 2012 that are still getting repinned, that are still bringing me traffic, that are still getting me opportunities, and people are still wanting to partner with me based on stuff that I did pinned in 2011, or other people pinned from my site in 2011, 2012, and they just resonated with folks. So that tells you to what extent that if I wasn't there in 2011 and pinned that in 2011, there's no way I was going to get that. And so that doesn't even happen anymore. Like they're not recycling. They're not letting old content like that stay on their platform anymore because they shifted the business model a little bit. Their algorithm shifted a little bit. And we'll talk about that in a second. So because they changed their algorithm, you're not going to. There's no way you're going to be able to have a really, really super old pin unless you refresh it. Do so well in terms of in search, whereas my pins did because I was early adopter. So that's the one reason that I got 7.5 is because my super old pins, they were still rewarding me for being an early adopter and allowing super old pin. I'm grandfathered. You've heard the term grandfather clause. I'm grandfathered into that. So thanks, Pinterest. So that's the first reason. Now the last 5 reasons are things that you can do. Second one is that I create a lot of content. So I mentioned there's an algorithm change. What Pinterest is doing now is they're rewarding fresh pins. So they used to have these tools. I'm going to talk later on about these other tools and these platforms. It's this term called add-on. So there used to be these add-on, I guess, companies. Which essentially help you or enhance. So let's say there's a Canon camera, or there's an iPhone phone, or there's a device, or there's a car, and so people will build accessories or tools to help you use your camera, to help you use your phone, to help you use your car. And so there are a couple of them, several of them actually, that I list them here maybe, that were built on top of Pinterest, and to help people help people pin content without having to actually be on there pinning it all throughout the day. So they were able to space it out, and those tools were wonderful. And second reason that I was able to grow is because I used those tools. Like Board Booster was one that's now outdated. I think there was one called Pinfinity. I forget, there's several different ones, and the one that's still existing. Pinterest actually has a relationship with is called TAILWInd. So what TAILWInd did was allow you to have tribes of people who have similar content, similar interests, and you guys repin each other. So I can put something on the board, and someone from my tribe they want to pin different content too. So on their TAILWInd boards, they'll, instead of you're supposed to add like maybe 20% of your content and like maybe 80% of someone else's content. So you mix it around, so you're just not self-promoting. So people need other people's content. So if I join a TAILWInd tribe and I put something on the TAILWInd tribe, these people who need the 80% content, it's better for them the content to be on brand or on the same topic. So they will take my pin and pin it, and they'll have their followers. So I'm in several different TAILWInd tribes. One of them is like 500 people who get 500,000 reach or more, something like that. And so that's high net worth people, not net worth, but high reach folks. So if those folks pin my stuff, I put things on my TAILWInd board, group board for them, and they repin it. So that means that's helping me get those more impressions, because people with 500,000 impressions or more, that people in that group, they are also going to repin my content. And so I'm reaching all of their audiences and their audience and their audiences. And I think that's another reason, because I took advantage of the TAILWInd a platform that allows you to have tribes. And Board Booster had something similar as well before they went under. And so I think that's the second reason I grew big in Pinterest, is because I joined in with tribes. There was another thing called pin groupie. So people didn't use, similar concept where folks who were similarly interested would share and repin each other content. And that was a great way. Now, there's a problem with that a little bit now, because Pinterest changed this algorithm. I mentioned that earlier, where now it is rewarding fresh content. So they want fresh content. They are tired of their platform being with people just using TAILWInd, which has this thing called loops, and Board Boost used to have it where you can just pin a certain level of content, and every once in a while it'll re-loop it and repin it. So instead of you having to go back and refresh and repin these really great pins, they'll do it for you. But because Pinterest is now elevating fresh pins, and they're actually punishing people who share old pins, we're finding everyone's some rejiggering going on with the content creators, the people on platform, people who are avid users of Pinterest, and then also the folks who have platforms that are built on top of Pinterest are telling their users, wait a second, do not repin, do not use this loop function. And that way you have to make sure a significant amount of time passed in between the last time you pinned it. Otherwise you may get penalized, and then they may suppress your content. So, but notwithstanding the fact, the second reason I grew big is because I used tools like TAILWInd. And if I'm a TAILWInd affiliate, so if you want to sign up for TAILWInd, there's a link. I'm going to put a link to it below, and then I'll get a commission if you purchase and join the TAILWInd. But it's a wonderful tool. Now, the third thing I mentioned, the third reason why I got 7.5 million is because I can't post it often, and I still post content often. So I have 5 different websites. I said 4 of them are blogs. I have a parenting blog, I have a braid blog, I have a business blog, and I have a tech blog. The parenting blog I've had since my daughter was when I was pregnant with my daughter back in 2007, and it just grew into something bigger. And I used to do blog posts. It's like an informational parenting tips, reviews, blog, website. And at one point I pinned 5 times a day. What happens, because it's been around since 2007, and I posted 5 times a day at one point, not anymore. Now it's like if I can get 1 a day, that'd be great. I'm trying to do 3. But because I've had so much content, when people are searching and they discover my website, there's a lot out there for people to pin. So other people are pinning it because I just have so much out there. So I've created so much content, whereas some people will have a blog and they will update their blog maybe once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks. And so for 1 month, they may just have 2 or 3 pieces of content. So there's not a lot of meat and potatoes for people to pin. So when people discover their blog, there's only 3 blog posts or 15 total in a month. So you're not going to get that traffic. So remind, there's so much content on there for people to discover it and repin and pin. And so that's one of the reasons, because I blog so much. So even though I've been blogging since 2007, if you're a new blogger or you're a recent blogger and you have a lot of content or a lot of imagery in your website, you can still benefit from having a lot of content for people to pin and growing that way. So that's the third reason why I got 7.5 million reach in 1 quarter on Pinterest. The fourth reason, I mentioned I have a lot of blogs. Because I have all those blogs, I created different Pinterest accounts for them. So what helped me get this huge boost in reach is because I discovered, and I don't know if Pinterest let me do this, is they allow you to link in different accounts. So instead of me having to log out and log in when I want to do JJ braids and having to repin there and keep up with that, they allow me to connect all my different Pinterest accounts. So I have about 4 Pinterest accounts. They're all linked. So that means I'm getting the juice. I'm getting, when they say my 7.5 million, including the reach I'm getting for those other 5. And so that's another thing. So it's kind of like a trick almost. So if you have more than one Pinterest account, or if you manage Pinterest accounts for other people and you guys are like-minded, or a bunch of people can go together and say, hey, let's link our Pinterest account, so you can get bigger reach that way as well. It's kind of similar to the tribe sort of situation, but it's a little bit more intimate, because the tribe is kind of like, you're just, everyone's independent. No one's really in each other's business. Where if you were to link, if you were to do what I did, I just own all of them. But if you had some friends or whatever, you guys are all comfortable with each other linking your accounts, it's more intimate, because essentially you are, you're really in bed with them at that point. But that's another way of getting a lot of traffic, is if you can form some sort of conglomerate or group. I don't know if it's against the rules, and link your accounts up. That'll help you also get more traffic, more reach, and more, which will push your stuff. So the more reach you get, the more traffic, the more likely Pinterest sees you as a good user. And you'll get opportunity for new the tools and new features as they come out. So that is the 4th reason. 5th reason is I post frequently. And so I post a lot. I create a lot of content on my different platforms. So each time I create content, because I'm creating all that content, that's more stuff for me personally to pin onto my site as well. So versus the other way is where, because I have a lot of content, people are discovering me, and so people are coming on. Because I have a lot of content, I'm also sharing my content on Pinterest and also on the tribes. So I don't know if that makes sense. So that's the 5th reason. So you have a website, you're creating more content. It rewards, the Fresh Pins rewards people who create a lot of content. You historically have a lot of content, you're going to be rewarded. And then now actively, if you're actively currently creating a lot of content, you're going to be rewarded. So the lesson so far in these 5 is really create a lot of content, and then there's a huge school of thought in the past and blogging and say, you don't have to create a lot of content. You can repurpose old content. You can take one piece of content, turn it into a podcast. You can do a YouTube channel on it. You can make a blog. You can make a sheet out of it and make a freebie and send it out to your newsletter. You can take one piece of content, do a lot of things. So you don't really need to create a lot of content. Just do one content, just repurpose it. So there's a school of thought that says that, and there's nothing wrong with that school of thought, and it works. But in terms of for Pinterest, I think especially now that they're prioritizing Fresh Pins, that school of thought may not necessarily work in terms of if you want to grow it on there. I don't know if it makes sense. I mean, there might be some ways you can work around it, get some help, get some tools, partner with some people, but it really is, everything is rewarding new content, or at least fresh pins. So if you have one piece of content, creating 4 or 5 different pins, images, so they look like it's fresh, even though it's coming from that one blog post, but create like 5 different pins for that one blog post. So that's another way. It's really about fresh, something new. You still got to put more effort into it. So the last one is that I keep up with it. So one of the things if you keep up with a platform, which I'm just now doing, you will know when they have different algorithm changes. Like for example, people who are on Instagram, they know when their stuff is not being seen. They know when they're getting less engagement. They know Instagram people who are loyal Instagrammers know when Instagram is doing something that's lowering their engagement rate, lowering their numbers of likes, lowering who's seeing them, because they're intimately involved and engaged and invested in Pinterest. So I mean in Instagram. So I'm intimately engaged in Pinterest, and because I am, so I keep up with them. So one of the things, for example, I mentioned about rewarding people who are on the platform early or who use the platform with new features is they have this thing called story pins. They're rolling it out. This is just something recent. So a story pin is kind of like how, you have, and YouTube has stories now, but it started with who started with pins? I think Instagram had stories. I think it came off of Snapchat. Snapchat stories started it. Then Instagram did stories, and then, and then YouTube has stories, Facebook has stories. All these different platforms are doing stories. Stories are just like shorts, 15-second to maybe a little bit longer videos that only last 24 hours. And so you can create it. It's a temporary thing. It's not meant to last. It comes to your feed, but it's a way of keeping your feed constantly active. Even if you don't post often, people usually share their lives in stories. So they're encouraging people. It's different for Pinterest because Pinterest is not social media, but they're still encouraging people to do stories. And so when I discovered they had stories, I said, oh, let me do stories myself when I got early access to it. When I did get early access to stories, I started doing the stories. And I discovered that because Pinterest wants to promote stories, anyone who's doing stories, who they've given access to it, once you actually use it, they were pushing my content, my stories, through the feed. It's a lot. So for example, I would post, let's say I post a blog post and I have a pin, and I pin a graphic from that blog post. And I also create a story related, or I push out the story and the graphic to a blog post on Pinterest at the same time. The graphic may get something like 2,000, reach 2,000 views and maybe like 40 repins and like whatever. The story pin will get something like 40,000. So that tells me that they went out at the same time. They're similar content. The fact that one of them is getting so much more content engagement than the other says that that's the machine is doing that. The machine is favoring that content over this other content, and the machine is pushing that sort of content forward. And so I wouldn't have known to do story pins or know that was an option to me and to know to experiment with that if I wasn't keeping up with it. And that 60,000 push that they're pushing me is helping me get that 7.5 million. So that's also a reason why I'm getting 7.5 million, is because I'm in story pins, which is a new feature from Pinterest, which is because I keep up with Pinterest. I know about that now. So I keep up with the platform. And that is a failure that I've had in the past when I had success in a certain platform. I did not keep up with it. I did not keep up with the changes. I didn't keep up with the algorithm shifts. I didn't keep up with the business models. I didn't keep up with the new tools. I didn't know what was in, what was not in. So I had stuff that's kind of stale, that was just still sitting there, and just because I just ignored it. And that's not necessarily good. But luckily, fortunately, even though I ignored it, I still was able to still continue, because I have that legacy relationship with them. They still kind of like favored me anyway and kept me on, like, like the prodigal son, like she might come back. So I still got the favor from Pinterest, even though I ignored it at some point for a long time, because I have my hands in so many different pots. Now that I'm back on, and that's why I think that that helped me get those 7.5 million of things. So anyway, so that's it. So to recap, I was an early adopter. I pin often. I did use tools to help me boost my content. What was the other one I said? I posted frequently. These are the ones here. I just forgot. I'm tired. Anyway, so that's the recap. So there you go. So that's the reason why how I got 7.5 million. And so now you know the secret. So if you're interested in Pinterest and you want to grow your Pinterest channel, that's how you do it. That's what you're doing. So if you would like some more, I'm going to link in the description box some of my tools that I use that I offer for sale. If you want some one-on-one help or support in that as well, I do coaching, one-on-one coaching. So I can do some one-on-one coaching and help you specifically, because I've showed you why I did it. And so how I do it is something a little bit more hands-on, and I have to deal with you one-on-one with your specific situation. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm going to put a link down there if you want to sign up for a coaching session or for a consultation. I think that's it. Anyway, so I hope that was helpful for you. This is JJ Gat. That was a long video. I'm glad you stayed to the end. If you stayed to the end, God bless you. Take care. Bye. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Peace.